Everyone. I extend a warm welcome to all present here for the technical session on Building Team Urban, Strengthening Technical Capacities for Resilient and Progressive Urban India. This session focuses on one of the most important foundations of India's urban transformation, the technical capacity of institutions, professionals, and city systems. As India's cities grow in scale and complexity, their ability to plan, finance, design, implement, and manage urban services will depend not only on policy ambition, but also on the strength of people and institutions that translate policy into outcomes. We are honored to have with us Dr. Santosh Mathew, Country Lead Public Policy and Finance, Gates Foundation, who will chair this session. Dr. Mathew is a political economist and former Indian Administrative Service officer with over 3 decades of experience in public policy and governance. Sir has held several senior positions in the Government of India and the Government of Bihar, including as Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Bihar, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Rural Development, and Chairperson of the National Council for Teacher Education. He has also served as Professor of Social Management at the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Missouri. At the Gates Foundation, Sir leads work on state capacity, public finance, health systems design, and human resources in health. He also serves on the governing and advisory boards of several leading institutions. We welcome you, sir. We are privileged to have with us Sri Gopal Prasad, Economic Advisor, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, as the moderator of the session. Sri Gopal Prasad is a distinguished officer of the Indian Economic Service with extensive experience across several ministries and departments of the Government of India. He has served in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Ministry of Railways, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, the 15th Finance Commission, Ministry of Labour and Employment, and the Department of Atomic Energy. He currently serves as the Economic Advisor in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, where he brings deep experience in economic policy, urban development, public finance, and government systems. Allow me to introduce the distinguished panelists for this session. Dr. Samir Sharma is a retired IAS officer of the 1985 Andhra Pradesh cadre and former Chief Secretary to the Government of Andhra Pradesh. A scholar administrator with over 37 years of experience in public and private governance, including more than 2 decades in the urban sector, Dr. Sharma has served as Municipal Commissioner of Vijayawada, Visakhapatnam, and Hyderabad. He was Mission Director of the Smart Cities Mission, Amrut, and the World Bank-supported Urban Capacity Building Program. Dr. Sharma holds postgraduate qualifications in urban planning, has received a D.Litt. And the V. Ramachandran Award for Excellence in Urban Decentralization in India. Dr. Surendra Kumar Bagre is Director General of the National Centre for Good Governance, with additional charge as Director General of the Indian Institute of Public Administration. He has spent more than 32 years in the Indian Administrative Service and has worked across sectors including industries, urban transport, economic affairs, and urban development. He has also served in the Department of Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Dr. Bagre holds degrees in electrical engineering, industrial engineering, and a PhD in applied economics and management from Carnegie Mellon University. Sri M. Nagarajan is Municipal Commissioner, Surat Municipal Corporation. He is a 2009 batch Indian Administrative Officer of the Gujarat cadre and has held several leadership roles across government. He currently leads key municipal and urban development initiatives in Surat and has previously served as CEO of the Surat Smart Cities Mission. His experience spans district administration, higher education, transport, technology-enabled governance, and public service innovation. Advocate V.K. Minimol is Mayor of Kochi Municipal Corporation. She is a legal professional and public leader with over 3 decades of experience in public service and grassroots governance. A 4-term councillor, she has chaired key standing committees, including Public Works and Health, and has worked extensively on infrastructure, welfare, and citizen services. Shri Ghanshyam Bansal is Director General, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation Academy. He is an Indian Railway officer of the 1990 batch with over 36 years of experience across Indian Railways and the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. He has held senior positions including Director Vigilance Railway Board, General Manager in the Dedicated Freight Corridor, Chief Engineer at Baroda House, Senior Professor at IRICEN Pune, and Chief Vigilance Officer at DMRC. Professor Dr. Ayun Kumar Tarafdar is head and team leader of the Amrut Center of Urban Planning for Capacity Building, School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada. He is a professor in the Department of Planning with over 23 years of experience across academia, research, industry, and government. His work focuses on climate-sensitive urban development, urban resilience, environmental planning, and capacity building. Sir holds a PhD in planning and MSc in urban ecological planning from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in Norway. I welcome all panelists and our speakers today. May I request Sri Gopal Prasad, Economic Advisor, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to kindly set the context for the session.
Thank you. Good evening all, and good evening all dignitaries on the dais. Santosh Matthew sir, Samir Sharma sir, Bagde sir, Minimol madam, Ghanshyam Bansal sahab, Nagarajan ji, and Ayun Kumar Tarafdar ji. आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार. And this is a technical session on building team urban, strengthening technical capacities for resilient and progressive urban India. So the topic is very broad topic, but we want that most discussion should take place in terms of generating more ideas as to how we can go forward, how we can think of making such kind of a team, and with so much of knowledge and information we already have, what is more there to add? With this, I would like to first set the context in terms of the theme that to realize the Viksit Bharat goal 2047, we must forge a team urban, a network of future-ready institutions, technical professionals, and responsive city leaders working in collaboration with each other. At a very nascent stage at this point of time, we can only envisage what kind of this team would be if we are talking about building such kind of a team urban. As urban challenges become increasingly complex and fast changing, one-time technical trainings are no longer enough. Thus, the foundation of team urban must therefore rest on continuous capacity, strengthening, embedding technical excellence, and cultivating adaptive resilience that enable urban practitioners to anticipate, respond to, and resolve the emerging urban challenges. This session will explore how cities can build the technical skills, adaptive systems, and collaborative mechanisms required to become resilient, future-ready, and progressive. Some of the key focus areas are building resilience. So much of talks have already happened since morning on the resilience. So what is there to develop institutional and individual capabilities to tackle the emerging challenges with innovation, autonomy, and technical rigor. Second, strengthening the capacity across the urban local bodies. So that means identifying the practical ways to capacitate Nagar Panchayats, municipal councils, municipal corporations, and metropolitan regions. Transformative technologies and innovation. That's the third key focus area. Exploring the potential of the prevailing frontier digital solutions and innovative tools to streamline public service delivery across India's diverse governance landscape. Fourth is the harmonized stakeholder convergence. So the team urban is expected to bring together political, executive, municipal bodies, state level agencies, and the technical ecosystems, each operating within their own sphere. A unified functional rhythm across all stakeholders is imperative to foster the comprehensive urban progression. So with this context set so far, with the permission of the chair, I would just like to make a short presentation before I would request the chair to give his special remarks. It's a 10 minutes presentation. Sir, may I? Thank you. Next slide, please. So in the India's urban imperative, we see that there are about 600 million, that is the population which is expected to increase by 2036. 70% of India's GDP is coming from these urban areas. And as per the World Bank estimates, about $840 billion investment is required in the infrastructure by 2036. And city economic regions, which has been announced in the recent budget, they are expected to emerge as the engines of growth. Now, there are three things. Economic Survey 25-26, they state about one thing, that India's urbanization is significantly deeper than the traditionally understood, far exceeding the Census 2011 estimates. This pace of urban transformation demands a fundamental rethinking of governance capacity across the entire urban hierarchy. Second thing comes from the Urban Challenge Fund 2025, which talks about 1 lakh crore central assistance to catalyze about rupees 4 lakh crore of urban investment through a reform-driven, market-oriented financial model that incentivizes cities to leverage bonds, loans, and PPPs. And the third thing is in the budget 26-27, which talks about the city economic regions with a reform-linked financing to catalyze this transformation. Next. Team Urban, we talk about a collaborative framework. So the Team Urban is envisaged as a future-ready urban governance ecosystem. This encompasses political leadership, city administrations, technical institutions, communities, and private partners as one coordinated team. Third is the Urban Research and Knowledge Network. This has already been endorsed in the yesterday's concluding BRICS Urbanization Forum 2026, which says that to ensure knowledge sharing, peer learning, cross-country urban learning, and institutional collaboration. On the right-hand side, we basically put 4 boxes, which talks about political leadership, municipal and state institutions, technical ecosystems, communities, and the private partners. Next, please. The evolution of policy frameworks and planning instruments in our country, it has been right from, we are starting from the 1988 National Commission on Urbanization and moving up to the second ARC report, High-Powered Committee on Urban Services, Niti Aayog, Action Agenda Points, and then consecutive to the planning, the 5-year planning plans, which has been basically from 10th, 11th, 12th, and 12th plan. There was no 13th 5-year plan. So in these 3 5-year plans also basically they talk about the urban capacity building, the devolution under the 74th Amendment Act, they talk about the financial and institutional reforms, talk about the state level training institutions, inclusive sustainable growth, transparency and accountability, and then finance commissions have started with the saying that performance linked urban grants, these are all for the fiscal transfers which takes place from the finance commission side, fiscal and service efficiency, institution and financial accountability. So this is a kind of an evolution of how it has actually taken place in the country. Next, please. In the 16th Finance Commission recently, now, they are talking about that there is a massive 3.6 lakh crore grants have been actually recommended to the urban local bodies in the 5-year period from 26 to 31. Then there's about 45% is the share of the ULB in the local body grant. Now 80:20 is the split between basic and performance grant, and there is about a special 10,000 crore urbanization incentive grant is there for rural to urban conversion. Now, some of the things which might not have been captured during this 16th Finance Commission reports basically talk about while funding these allocations, the exclusion of census towns, stricter eligibility requirements and limited linkage with capacity building and the Urban Challenge Fund may constrain effective uptake by the smaller and the emerging urban centers. That means tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Next, please. Then there are certain missions and schemes which is actually so far been implemented by MOHUA. And we have seen here from NIUA and then to the various kinds of capacity building schemes for urban local bodies, which have been there since 2005 onwards, and including other schemes and the missions like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Swachh Bharat Mission, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Urban Livelihood Mission, Amrut 2015, next, and then Amrut 2.0, PMAY 2.0, Smart Cities Mission 2015, Hirday, which later got transferred to Ministry of Tourism in terms of Prasad. Then the Mission Karam Yogi 2020, which is the national program for civil services capacity building, and then now to NUDM, that is National Urban Digital Mission. These are various missions and schemes which has actually, in a way, tried to build the capacity in the country and making way towards a team urban. Now the institutional architecture for capacity building, if we can see, next please, slide. It basically trying to depict Niti Aayog, which was formerly a planning commission, then DOPT, National Institute of Urban Affairs, Capacity Building Commissions, State Urban Development Agencies, Regional Centers for Urban and Environmental Studies, Administrative Training Institutes in the states, and Center of Excellence. So MOHUA has recently come out with 4 Center of Excellence, that is CEPT, IIT Kharagpur, NIT Calicut, and SPA Delhi. Next, please. These are the challenges for the team urban. And these challenges are not the only ones which have been put over here, but yes, we have tried to just picturize it in this manner, that there are institutional and governance related challenges, human capital and capacity challenges, municipal finance challenges, resilience and sustainability, and integrated planning. With this we all know, we have seen a lot of literature is available and a lot of other lectures we have seen it in. But the point over here is that, okay, how are we going to face these challenges in the future? How are we going to prepare ourselves today? What kind of a team formation we want to make such that some of these challenges could be overcome and we can further move towards the goals of Viksit Bharat 2047. Now, there are 2 case studies, I think. One is the Surat Municipal Corporation, Resilience and Transformation. So I have the privilege of having my colleague, Mr. Nagarajan. So he is the Municipal Commissioner, Surat. We have talked about here Surat's water circularity, intelligent transit management system, outcomes and recognition. Mr. Nagarajan, in case if you would like to just speak 1 or 2 points over here with this on this slide.
So I have a separate presentation, but nevertheless I'll just add a few points. Regarding the water circularity, Surat, we were fortunate enough to be blessed with very visionary leaders, political leaders who supported pioneering initiatives which were very much experimental in those stages. And incidentally, I was in 2016 to 18, I was a smart city CEO and had the privilege of implementing all the smart city projects first time in the country. Most projects were implemented first time in Surat because of the fast decision making and support from the political leadership and how we engage with them. One of the things they have done is for water circularity is we have a network of all the sewerage network which is going into STPs, and secondary treated water is then given to tertiary treatment plants. One of the plant is running very successfully from 2015, supplying RO quality water to industries since that time. So they are very open about adopting the latest and newest technologies, and also driving it in PPP model is another important factor, because operating these kind of infrastructure is not the ball game of municipalities, and naturally that is now being pushed, because evidence has come that involving private participation in operational responsibilities is a better framework. Also for integrated transit management, I can say that BRTS in Surat is one of the successful models still running in the country with the entire sanctity that the BRTS deserves. And we had already planned the city bus. We did modification to the bus design to integrate it into the BRTS network. So there are multiple crossover points where the city bus actually enters the BRTS corridor, and after the interchange it again gets out of it. So building physical network integration, route integration, and also fare integration, so that the passenger will get the telescopic benefit. That is what the ultimate value that we can pass on to the passenger. So all these things were done, and also integrated with the one city, one card. So one card will work across the city, across multiple services, and including municipal services. So in the Surat was the first city to integrate your property card data, your library card data into your chip card. And we worked with ICICI Bank, and we created the standards with NPCI those days, and that became the basis for NCMC card, and also ease of doing other things. One good thing about Surat is it is highly blessed with a very balanced cosmopolitan population. 1/3 local people, 1/3 immigrated from rest of Gujarat, and 1/3 from rest of India. So our mostly it is by tradition that the mayor will be from the immigrated from Gujarat side. The opposition leader will be from North India, either UP or Bihar community, and the standing chairman will be mostly a Surti local. So this way, the balance in the decision making is also maintained by tradition, and it has been continuously observed that it's practically reserved for these kind of people. So there is a participation. We also run schools in 6 languages: Marathi, Telugu, Odia, and because we have that much population to serve. So these all put Surat in a different class, and also makes it a good example for everyone to take some inspiration. At the same time, we are also continuously seeking more knowledge from other cities. We continuously send teams wherever, in whichever department is there, they have a best practice somewhere, we are actively sending them. Recently, after I took over, we really wanted to explore drones and GIS. I sent a 20-member team for a 2-day course to Anna University in Chennai, and we are also looking for further such collaborations wherever best practices are there. So regarding Team Urban, sir, just a few lines. We have to fundamentally define a city government as a learning organization, not as a service provider organization. So how do we do knowledge management, and how do we define the value, the perception of yourself as a municipal employee, not just as a gutter wala, pani wala, but as a professional, municipal corporation professional who is involved in furthering knowledge and skill in his own trade, in whatever we are doing. So how do we redefine that perception? One good step that has been taken today is the tie-up with the Karma Yogi portal. So that is a very important step, with NIUA being the facilitator that gives us very enabled access. One suggestion I would like to make in this context is to centrally put an incentive project for capacity building at a massive scale. While for example, we can subsidize the courses. You list out the courses like what we used to have in DFFT for foreign training, domestic funding for foreign training. We can have a 50%, 70%, I would say 80% funding, capacity building, training funding for professional courses for that related field. In drainage, you suggest 10 courses. In water, you suggest 10 courses. In any of these universities like IIMs and all, and 80% central government will fund, 10% the urban local body will fund, and 10% the candidate himself will fund. And first they will pay, and then they can get reimbursement after they pass the course with a good thing. So this kind of incentives will increase the interest of the people to pursue knowledge as a more requirement and utility, and this should be integrated into the discourse. Now, if I want to put a project also, training is never taken seriously in urban context because it has not been mandated by policy, it has not mandated by any circular or anything in government. So there is a total lack of sanctity for human capacity building in the city government. We are only seeing them as some expendables. Instead, we should invest in their knowledge and skill set at whatever levels they are. more so at the class 3 and class 2 level, the field officers and the middle management. Senior people are always getting enough chances to upgrade themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll just skip through some of these case studies. I mean, thank you so much that you have spoken about the Surat. And recently I also visited Surat and I have seen how best is your the treatment plants working, especially the solid waste management as well as the tertiary treatment plant, which is almost like as a potable drinking water. And so next slide, please. On to the Kochi. So there's a second Kochi climate resilience, metro and smart governance. Very good examples of flood resilience post 2018 flood, Kerala flood. Then Kochi Metro Rail and Water Metro. It has got its own name in terms of very fine execution and implementation, and also the waste management with a compressed biogas plant, which I also visited very recently with Mayor Kochi, Madam is here. So these are some of the very key statistics as to how they are, how their performance have been actually evaluated here. Now, next, please. Then there are other case studies also, which is basically related with Coimbatore and Aizawl. I don't want to mention over here more. I think I should go to the next slide, please, to basically talk about the other things, not only this Pune, Rajkot, Bhopal, Indore, but next slide, please. These are other city relations. What are the strategy for building team urban? So here I've tried to put it in 6 buckets, especially. 1, the professionalized urban governance that requires municipal cadres, competency pathways, and continuous professional development. Second is the build future-ready skills, how to equip the urban professionals with competencies in integrated planning, climate resilience, digital governance, municipal finance, etc. Scaling up the capacity building programs like the Urban Renaissance program, which we have seen in the first half, the graduates who have got the certificates from the dignitaries. Strengthen the knowledge ecosystems. How are we going to leverage the digital platforms for learning like NULP, IGOT, and to tap the technological opportunities in innovations? Then mainstream resilience, local disaster, climate adaptation and mitigation risk across urban functions to cope up challenges of vulnerability, risk, and extreme climate change. Linking the capacity with fiscal performance, how these are to be linked with the revenue mobilization and readiness for the Urban Challenge Fund. And 6th is the inclusive capacity across urban hierarchy to support the Nagar Panchayats, peri-urban regions to towns, cities, metro regions. Now the agenda for the discussion on the next slide, please. So taking a cue from Secretary Mahua has remarked in the very first half in the today's session, he says, the urban resilience is not mere climate adaptation, but it is the way the cities are governed, financed, and managed. So from here, the agenda which I would like to throw now is what is the most critical shift required to build the technical and institutional capacities of Team Urban to prepare cities for emerging challenges and long-term resilience. Now with this, I would like to request the chair to give his opening remarks. Thank you, sir.
Let me thank by congratulating NIUA and Mahua for the care with which they have thought of this session, the kind of documents they have circulated in preparation and the kind of questions they have posed speaks of a great deal of depth. In fact, each member of the panel has got a certain set of questions that have been framed for them, and therefore I think we will cover a great deal. But for some strange reason, I've been given the liberty to hold forth, and I'm going to use that as an opportunity. And I'm going to give 2 propositions for your kind consideration. And that is that Team Urban is not about capacity building. According to me, if you want to build a Team Urban, it's ultimately a deeply political question. And if that political question has to be answered, then we have to make it possible for three things to happen: credible promising, effective delivery, and electoral success based on effective delivery against the promise. This is the virtuous cycle that has to be unleashed. And the moment we are able to make this happen, we have the talent in this country, both in the political sphere, the technical sphere, and the administrative sphere, to be able to take both India and our urban areas into massive levels of excellence. The second proposition that I want to make is that this is not, so the moment you use the word team, what conjures up in our mind is of collaboration, being nice to each other, working well with each other. But I want to again propose a counterintuitive proposition. And that is that within you need collaboration, but without you need competition. If Delhi Metro has to do well, Delhi Metro has to compete with the best metros in the world. If Cochin Corporation has to do well, Cochin Corporation should be competing with the other corporations of the country and the world so that they are scaling new heights. Not only that, the mayor of Kochi should be able to say that during my regime, Kochi did significantly better than in the earlier regime. So it's both collaboration within and competition without has to be engendered if a truly sustainable team urban has to be built up. These are my two main propositions. Now, how do you actually do this? In government or in public administration, there is this thing that says whatever gets measured gets done. But what people forget is that whatever gets measured gets reported. And that can be quite distinct from what gets done. I remember I joined the IS in 1985. In 1987, I became an SDM in the first case. And there is this additional collector who actually showed me. He told me, Matthew ji, I will show you how I always get perfect scores in revenue collection. So what he does is that in the beginning of the year, in the first week of April, he actually prints out for all his revenue collecting authorities what is their target and what is their achievement. And then he asks them to sign post-dated. On the 1st of April of 2026, he gets the report signed as 31st of March 2027. So whatever gets measured, gets reported is a fact of life. Now, how do we convert that to whatever gets reported gets done? I think this has to be about new possibilities in digital governance that is today available. So we have to set up a data architecture which is not about reporting, but it is actually about digital exhaust. And there are several ways in which this can be done. Let's take Viksit Bharat as a goal. But there is also the point of what is the political leadership of a city promising to its citizens. What I believe needs to be done is these promises, whether it's Viksit Bharat promise or a city's a promise to its citizens, which in many ways will be nested within the Viksit Bharat. So we have Viksit Bharat, we have Viksit Orissa, we have Swarna Andhra, we have various states, governments which have come. The breaking down of these goals into departmental targets. We get that far quite often. But do we do enough to make those departmental targets into team goals? Do we break down those goals into individual tasks? Do we do an analysis of what kind of competencies, domain, functional, and behavioral, are actually required by each of the functionaries to be able to deliver against the tasks that are nested within goals or targets and are nested within goals? I am not sure that this actually gets done, but I'm quite sure that if this gets done, that's when your reporting architecture will begin to be. If you get angry with somebody in your municipality or in your organization, the first thing that you will think of, ye bada incompetent hai. But do we have a measure of competence? Do we really have a measure of competence? The first step in this is actually, according to me, the defining of a competence dictionary for every role to be performed, and which has competencies, domain, functional, and behavioral, that speak to every task to be performed, that speaks to every position that has to perform these tasks. And this can be a national level operation with state level variations and local level adaptations. But that dictionary just needs to get built. The second thing that needs to get done is that we need objective measures of competence. I used to be in the Mussoorie LBS Academy for 6 years, and I'm always reminded that government does not tell you whether you should prepare for your UPSC exam in Surat or in Patna or on Delhi or in Trivandrum, or which institution, brilliant or something else you need to go to. What government says is, there is a UPSC exam, you clear it, you come to Mussoorie. We spend so much money and effort at training and capacity building, but so little at testing with credibility as to, does the person have the competence required? And here I'm not just talking of competency of people who work within our city bodies, that of course is required, but the large number of contractors who actually work, do their people have the competency? So this entire competency architecture is something I think needs to get constructed if we want a team urban. The other thing that I will strongly advocate for a team urban is to be able to reduce the cognitive load for both managers and individuals to know how well they are performing. And I am going to put before you the idea of a who rag dashboard. Might sound like mumbo jumbo. Who as opposed to what. Is every ward getting cleaned? Is what. Who was responsible to clean? Is who. Our dashboards have to move from what, which is required, to also who. Otherwise, what do? Every mayor is going and arguing for the posting of a fantastic municipal commissioner. Every minister was a fantastic secretary for her department. Arey Baba, talent is a normal curve. We have very few people who are fantastic and very few people who are terrible. Most of the people are ordinary in the middle. So we need a system design where ordinary people can do ordinary things and produce extraordinary results. And according to me, that will happen when this breakdown of goals is done into who needs to do what, and the information architecture that is able to produce who is not doing what they're supposed to do. And this is in the management literature called nothing other than management by exception. So if you have a rag dashboard, red, amber, green, the only question that the mayor should be asking the municipal commissioner, and the only question the municipal commissioner should be asking to their additional commissioners and there and so forth, is that how many reds did you have last week? Simple. Because the information architecture has been so well calibrated that for each of the goals, the causal pathways have already been traced out, and who needs to do what has already been worked out, whiteboarding, improved every time, because your knowledge will improve every time you practice this. This sort of a digital architecture, in which digital is the least of the problems, but understanding what the causal pathways are I think fundamental if you really want to build a team urban. Just a few more ideas and I will stop, and I'll just take 2 more minutes so that we remain on time. One of the most important things that cities today need to measure, according to me, are the extent to which they are growing, producing economic activity. Not just growing by bundling more and more people into it, but the value of economic activity that they are producing and the jobs. And this, according to me, today using correlates of economic growth can be done on a quarterly basis and not once in 5 years or once in 1 year, but announced with 12 and 24-month lags. Now, these are data like, EPFO, ESIC, electricity consumption, growth in building area, vehicle registration. It's possible to construct an index to know how fast or how slow a place is actually growing. The second point on a systems thing that I think needs to be done is to be able to revamp the way we actually do public transportation. While metros are important, London is the greatest example. There are 8,800 buses in the metropolitan development, in the greater London metropolitan area. Not a single bus is owned by TfL, Transport for London. Every bus is a private operated bus, and you will not know the difference because the specifications have been defined so carefully. And no bus owner is paid because of the number of passengers they carry. They are paid because they arrive at the right time and they leave at the right time, adjusted obviously for congestion. They are paid because of the quality of the bus. No cash transactions, you are tap and go. The money goes into the government coffer, TfL, an independent body, and no bus operator raises an invoice because the bus operator knows every hour how much it is eligible to be paid because buses are constantly moving. And automatically using a smart payment, if this then that. I'm a government pensioner. On the 27th of the month, I get my pension. Finance Secretary of Government of India is not approving my pension, no? It is because the conditions for my pension to be paid have been very clearly. Unfortunately, it's only one, I'm alive, life certificate. In TfL, the conditions of payment have been worked out. The moment you do this, then urban transport becomes a financially viable activity for private investment. It's not the municipal commissioner who will pass a bill. It's not the mayor who will sign off. It is the conditions for payment being fulfilled and the money gets paid. That's on urban transport. And finally, the point I want to make is on civic action. Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation and Seva collaboration is a stellar example of that. Resident welfare associations have so much more capability than the tax they pay to you. But today, if they repair their road, repair their street light, the municipal engineer can file a case against them for destroying public property. Madam is, by the way, my mayor. I am a resident of Cochin Corporation. If I repair the road in front of my house, Madam can ask the engineer to file a case against me because that's government property. But why cannot we have a system through which resident associations are giving digital propositions through a informed mechanism and saying, we are willing to take care of this, 80%, 20%, 100%. And there's an authorization architecture so that your revenue is not just your tax, your source of revenue is also public action where people have the motivation and the resources to be able to move forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient listening.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very valuable insights and very good ideas about as to what are things to be done, what are the critical areas where we have to look forward in order to make such kind of a team urban. And as you said rightly that, okay, it is not mere capacity building, but rather, yes, it's more like a political leadership which is required in terms of creating such vision, credibility, direction to give. And now I would like to ask Director General IIPA and National NCGG, Pagde Saab, sir, what institutional reforms are most critical to build a capable team urban across Nagar Panchayats? You can talk from here itself, sir. Just switch on the mic. So what, I would repeat the question, sir. Yeah. What institutional reforms are most critical to build a capable team urban across Nagar Panchayat, municipal councils, municipal corporations, and metropolitan regions? And second question would be, how can smaller ULBs access specialized technical expertise in planning, finance, procurement, data, and project execution when needed?
Thank you, Gopal. I am very happy to be here. I think the speakers on the dais have tremendous experience of the urban sector, including Dr. Sharma, Dr. Matthew, and municipal commissioners here, officers from the transport sector, and audience certainly. I think many challenges of our cities have been discussed, and Matthew sir, and you also highlighted through your presentation the issues for Team Urban. We know that running cities is very complex business, and it's not only managerial function; it's also a very technical function. Like you want to deliver water quality, quality water to every household, so water quality has to be maintained. It's a very technical work. Transportation, which Santosh Mathew just talked about, is also now becoming increasingly very technical, in the sense like you have to use technology not only to deliver services effectively, but also keep up with the technology so that citizens are satisfied. So I think the functions are very complex, and they are going to be increasingly more complex as you said that we reach a target, we reach towards 600 million urban population. We also need to note that the level of services which are there which are being provided, for example, urban transport, any other services. I think if we measure in terms of the expected level versus the current level, there is a still large gap, and that gap needs to be fulfilled. So it requires both resources to fund those gaps as well as people who are capable of managing that system. Now, in terms of your question for transforming the institution for delivering Team India, I would speak from capacity building institution, IIPA, and perspective. And I would also like to mention that MOUA is supporting Center of Urban Studies in IIPA. IIPA's Center of Urban Studies is the oldest center of urban studies in the country. It was set up in 1963, and that time there were no centers for urban studies, and that center in IIPA took lead, and many training capacity programs were designed and implemented. Now, what has happened in terms of capacity building program is that they have not changed in terms of content and in terms of focus. Like we do, how to deliver effective services, citizen services for 2-day programs. Now this has become very repeated topic with repeated content without any focus on achievement. What cities need is that be smaller or bigger, they need to achieve certain things. As it was mentioned that the mayors also or any executive also need to show that at the end of the year you have achieved certain things. So what we require in orientation for capacity building is that the capacity building programs are designed for a particular purpose. That we know that accounting functions has been a challenge for many ULBs, smaller and mid-level. Now, can we design capacity building program which will address their real challenge, and then use that program to actually deliver the accounting practices or improve the level of services. So I think what we need is that orienting the focus of these training institutions so that their capacity building programs are target oriented, they deliver a particular goal oriented output for cities, and the program are paid only when there is achievement after that capacity building program. Otherwise, you know what happened? You go for capacity building programs, you pay for it, and programs have been happening for so many years. And at the end of it, I think there is no tangible achievement. I would like to see that future capacity building programs are evolved so that the payment is also linked to actual transformation of the ground. And I think as the Center of Urban Studies in IIPA, we would like to take a lead and orient our thinking towards that, so that I think there is a funding tied to actual achievement. That's a very important thing, important change required, because without that, the training has been happening, but not with the on-ground changes. Now, second thing is that you also mentioned about the issues of Gram Panchayat and small municipal councils. That problem we have been discussing in NIUA and elsewhere for many years, like accounting functions, engineering functions. They can't employ executive engineer. But the work which they are getting are now increasing in proportion. Like earlier maybe 50 lakh work, but now they are getting say 5 crore work. How come a small a junior engineer will approve the work? But there are good patterns. I think in Gujarat, that time what we were advocating in MOHUA was a system of their regional capacity centers, where there is executive engineer at the district level who approves certain projects, and at the local level there is a junior person. So I think this combination of person at local level, you need a person at local level. So what is happening? The amount of fund being transferred with to the cities and ULBs has increased, but the manpower has not increased. So I think we need to transform the institution. We need to do a better capacity building, but we also need people on the ground. Without people on the ground, so I think when the funding is happening either through 16th Finance Commission and MOHUA is channelizing those funds, I would think that whether there is a manpower to implement those programs or need to be checked. And I think some part of it need to be given for the cost of the manpower. Not only the consultant, but I think regular manpower. And the model of Gujarat can be very much useful where like executive engineer or super engineer at the district or regional levels. So I think third will be integrating technology. Now we can't employ a lot of people, but can we use technology? And I think a lot of things are being discussed about artificial intelligence. Can we use AI for simplifying some tasks? And I was reading just about a company which has reoriented about the hiring practices. Now, when you hire new people, what kind of role the technology can play and what kind of role they are expected to play by using technology. So, can I use AI for making my accounts, simplify accounts? What kind of institution collaboration training institution can adopt so that they deliver content to the cities. So I think when we use technology for delivering the services, we need to also look at what actually is going to be the role of the technology in simplifying the work. And I think that kind of work also, sir talked about digital platform and monitoring and measuring, but we need to know actually what is going to be done by the technology. We have already seen that digital technology has come, there were different levels of technology. And as I was saying in one of the occasions, but on the ground whether transformation has taken place or not, we are not sure. So today we have AI, already we are talking about quantum technology. And quantum computing will come, it will pass by without actually transformation happening on the ground. So I think we need this technology embedding right in the beginning at the time of hiring. So hiring practices, when you hire engineer now or when you hire accountant, we just don't hire accountant. We hire accountant with the technology background and let him use technologies to make deliver the work of 2 person by 1 person. I think that kind of efficient use of technology is very much important. In IIP also, we want to collaborate with other institutions to work with ULPs. And one area which I am very keen is that, for example, there is an Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. It's a very old institution. It was set up before we became republic. That's what I got to know when I was attending their function. So we want to work with them and we want to focus on this accounting issue and work with few LBs, develop a model so that we can deliver it as a content for training of the trainers. So I think there are many issues in terms of how we reorient training institution. But I think there is a greater need for reorienting the training institution so that capacity is built and the payment of the training program, as one of the municipal commissioners said, 10% should be paid by the officer and reimbursed. I think part funding of the training should also be linked to the actual performance delivered on the ground. So I think that kind of change is required. The role of technology is very important, but technology embedded with the clear-cut design for output, not just for sake of training. Third thing is, I think when we do the capacity building for technology, we also need to do capacity building of our citizens so that they are adept at using technology. And for tier 2, tier 3 cities, I think the hiring of people with the technology background is very much important, but dual function, I think, so that with the less cost of manpower, we are able to deliver services. And I am very happy that Center of Urban Studies in IIPA will try to work on these lines with the support of MOVA for actually demonstrating it on ground in few of the states and few cities. Thank you.
Can I, sorry for the intrusion.
Sir.
I request the indulgence of the chair for this intrusion, Dr. Matthew. With such an eminent panel, because very often, so far, ever since Mission Karmayogi started, we have been talking about capacity building at an individual level, thereby through their contribution enhancing the capacity of the institution and thereby overall improvements. In MOVA, we are also looking at how do we move the bar towards the network of institutions. How can there be a team urban institutions? May I request in the next half an hour that you have, if you can reflect partly on these also, because I didn't want to push beyond 6:30 while you are interrupting.
Thank you, sir. I think it's for the chair now to take it up. Yeah, so.
I think the Secretary's ask is very clear that he also wants us to think in terms, to discuss in terms of the institutional architecture required to be able to deliver.
Correct, sir. Correct, sir. So, with the in the sequence now, may I have this question to Samir Kumar, sir? The drawing from your experience in governance reforms, how can city leadership foster a shared vision and teamwork across stakeholders, and also trying to link it with the Secretary Mahua has just remarked over that institutional architecture. Please, sir.
Speak for 5 minutes, then I'll come to that network of academic institutions. One possibly that will also emerge. Now, Team Urban, the way Gopal has framed it is in 4 buckets, right? Can you show that? Yeah. Now, these 4 buckets are, there's the municipal administration, which consists of the mayors, elected representatives, and the state level institutions, ULBs. Third is the technology ecosystem, the centers of excellence, consultants, accommodations. And the fourth is external stakeholders like the CSOs, citizen groups, private. So these are the 4 buckets which form the Team Urban. Now it's a very new concept. So we have to now develop a roadmap for taking it forward. And I would suggest one of the best ways of doing it is to link it with 16th Finance Commission grants. It will happen immediately, as we have seen. Now, what we should do? The first is, it has to be something which is a polycentric model. Now, in this polycentric model, all the actors in these 4 buckets will be there. Now, polycentric models, MOVA has to give an option, either it will be a stack model or it will be a web model. So the polycentrism can happen as a stack or it can be a web. So this also comes to institutions. If you want to have a web, then all of them are connected. There are some larger institutions, IITs, SPAs, there are smaller institutions. Even, remember, you were once talking of district engineering colleges. So they are the smallest unit in that web. If it is stack, then the top you have the COEs. Coming down you have the regional institutes, then you have the district institutes. So everybody comes into that. So this is one structural thing which MOVA has to sort of come to terms with. What do you want? The other is, in this model, do you want to have a coaching, the way a coach works for a football team, Do you want to have a captain of the football team, which is the municipal commissioner, etc., who will bring everything together? Somebody has to be there. Or do you want to commissioner or whoever it is to work as a conductor of a musical orchestra? Or you want to have, depending on context, leave it to the states. So that is the second sort of a decision point in the roadmap which you'll have to do. Then how should you start? We should start first with resilience. Floods, pollution, heat waves, pandemics. Because if you make it too big, it will become difficult. And the municipality will think you're taking away their functions. So start with this and slowly, slowly add on stuff to this. Now, so we have this multi-scalar, we have multi-functional, and we have these 4 buckets coming together. And Surat's groups, which Commissioner has said, shows how you can make people work together. Now in practice, what does it mean? Throughout the world, and my personal experience with formation of ward committees, for which we got the Janagara Award, the Sri Ramchandra Award, is start at the lowest unit. So as in the morning I was saying, EODB has not gone down at the restaurant level, at the shop level, at that microfinance level, at that micro enterprise level. So to do that, you have these local business improvement areas and put the people who inspect under them. Let them also recommend what should be the removal of regulations so as to make them do business better. Same thing you can do for citizen service centers. Largely, big time force three services: building permissions, mutations, birth and death. 80% traffic. 20% is small traffic. We can put it online also, automatic also. Next is you bring in the citizens and all these actors together at a very small level again, the idea of democratic administration. Put these 6 service inspectors and people with under the local, like we have in your gated communities or RWAs. What are these 6 things you should, 5 or 6? Sweeping, garbage removal, street lights, pothole filling, parks, then what else am I missing? So stuff like that. So these 5 or 6 more should decide this and insist on the states to do this. They will do it because there really is no resistance, just that you show them the direction and they'll do that. The next is use digitalization to bring horizontal accountability. I was in charge of Banaras for 1.5 years, so the municipal commissioner was on Nitin Bansal. Another Nitin was a division commissioner. They asked, we keep on going after the sanitary inspectors every day, monitoring. So you know what we did? I said every time they lift the garbage from the householder's house, from the house of the householder, send a WhatsApp or SMS. Your garbage has been lifted. If no, press on N. 100%. It is like the OTP. That magic is like the OTP. The supervision and monitoring should be given to the person to whom the service matters most. It doesn't matter to the vertical hierarchy. It only matters to the housewife, to the house husband. So that is the next part. Then strategic planning I want to do. So close the loop in digitalization. Closing the loop is very important, as I was giving the example of a human body. You touch a hot stuff, the message goes to your brain. If after that there is no response, there's no point. So our integrated command control centers are getting information but not going towards action and not getting the feedback whether there's closure or not. Then upgrading skills. Again, as morning again I said, moment I become a commissioner, within 1 month I have to take a course, just participate in the course. No passing, failing, because that's not have any value, it doesn't make a difference at that stage. Then periodically I should do courses like my city floods a lot, Kochi, so blue-green infrastructure. how have New York and Copenhagen done it? How can we apply it here? We applied to Gurgaon actually. We made a presentation to CMO in Haryana, the entire how do you implement BGI in Gurgaon. So stuff like that, let them go through those courses. Another thing which really has been, it is in my mind for several years, I couldn't do it. You know, like we have certification, why don't you have such certification for the plumbers, electricians, all these people in the municipalities? Imagine the increase in skill level. National Skill Development Corporation, you tell them level 1, level 2, level 3, you have to do. They will do it. Online, nothing, they will go nowhere. Another thing, for the state service officers who come from municipal administration, public health, why cannot we have that you have to do these courses, pass these courses before you get your promotions? And of course, entry level, we should, this is the simplest to do, our recruitment rules in Government of India, service rules in state level, should say that we require an urban planner in town planning department. We cannot have a civil engineer or geographer. If we have some doctor working as a health officer, that person should have a public health master's degree. A fellow who looks after mosquitoes should have done a certificate course in entomology from the National Skill Development Corporation. If you want to get promotion, you get the next certificate, third certificate. It's the easiest. There will be no resistance, nobody will say anything. We have had this earlier, I remember Andhra Pradesh 30 years ago, for finance there are all sorts of things they have to do before they get promotion. So this is the next I was thinking. Training, the best training is if you have a continuous training, 3 days online, 3 days online, again 3 months later, another 3 days, after that a visit, each online training you do, then they have a mentor in between for 3 months. Whatever you have taught, are they using it? Are they getting stuck? That is the best way to upgrade your courses. If you train me something, I go to the street and I can't use it, or I get into trouble, and I tell my mentor, you will upgrade your syllabi. There's no better way of doing it. Then, how I got into this Bharat Innovation group was Praveen Prakash took voluntary retirement. Then he joined Physics Wala. So they made this BIG, which was NSDC and Physics Wala. Now they were getting nobody to make these courses. So Praveen rang me up. So please prepare 30 courses. So 30, 45-day modules to prepare took me 8 months. Very hard work. But in that, what I have done are techniques which you'll find nowhere. They have been taken from the brain of municipal commissioners, the tacit experiences, and put into a way which can be done. How do you reduce mosquitoes? How do you street sweeps every day? Day in, day out, that grind, so boring, but you still make it enjoyable. Stuff like that. So as I was saying, the trigger will be the 16th Finance Commission. So there are two models. Either you have the stack model or this, bring them together. They have to work together. I am seeing now outside so much of redundancy, so much of repetition. What they are teaching, what the person requires, I mean, it's just what's happening. It's just happening. So if you can bring it together, I remember at one time, Honorable PM had said, maybe 6, 7 years ago, we should try and bring together these institutions together, you know, collapse institutions and all that. It didn't happen. But at least we can network them and bring them together. And the last thing, which again I say, is how to recruit. You know, a lot of things now can be done digitally. CPWD, I remember at that time when we were there, they had started this digital measurement books. It was a revolution. Anybody on the ground can do it, and then the executive engineer anywhere can see it. Use drones. Take photographs from phones, geotagged. You don't require so many human resources. Use short service commission. Let the public service commissions take people in a short service commission. 6 years, 8 years. We run that in the army. Why not? They do the work and then they go away. Use gigs for much more specialized work. And use platform services for all these M-books. We can have a platform as a service. I mean, if this can be done, and I think the best way is, we found that 15th Finance Commission was a silver bullet. Whenever we linked it, it was done immediately. So 16th Finance Commission is a silver bullet. You can get anything done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for very insightful thoughts which you have shared with us, sir, and gave us a hint to link with the 16th Finance Commission grants and both stack model, polycentric models you have talked about, sir. You also talked about the structural design needs to be done for city, state and center. Now I would like to request Mayor Kochi, Minimol Madam, to please answer. There are two questions, but keeping in view of the time which is very short at our hand, I'm asking you one question, ma'am. What role should mayors and elected representatives play in building team urban, especially in ensuring that resilience is not treated as a project, but as a shared civic and governance agenda?
Good evening to all, and I am very much thankful to NIUA and NIUA for inviting Kochi for this session. As a political leadership, here all are from executives and municipal commissioners level, but we are facing a lot of problems because always setting the political vision, bureaucrats and engineers rotate every time. They have transfers one municipality to other corporations, and every time they change. But the political leadership provides continuity of vision. Mayors must champion resilience as a core pillar of the city identity, moving it from a disaster response checklist to an active driver of economic growth and public health. As a mayor's point of view, forecasting institutional continuity is needed. Mayors can institutionalize resilience by creating dedicated permanent roles within the municipal corporation, example, Chief Resilience Officer or dedicated climate cell. That will be very helpful for the whole city that survive changes political cycles. And one thing I noted that in every time executive should concern the executive style of works, but the real problems and people's view, that must be considered first. As a mayor of Kochi, I involve lot of problems because when we implement a project in a critical area, the people there must be resist first, because the project is designed and implemented in a way that an executive style, and only they consider how it will be implemented or how it drafted in such a way that only in engineering way. But the actual need is that we must prepare a project in the means of people's way. That is the better way, and it is very much helpful for implementing a project. And building a civic culture of resilience is very much needed. The true resilience relies heavily on citizens' behavior. Waste segregation at source, rainwater harvesting, and respecting natural drainage channels. Elected leaders have the unique public platform to turn resilience into a community-led movement, transforming passive residents into active members of the term urban. In that way, we can change the people's attitude.
Thank you. So very good points you have mentioned. As a mayor, your role is as economic driver, leading the disaster management from the front, coordination between the people and the civil servants, and also your priorities which you have stated very clearly, and also said that the city's resilience depends on the people's behavior. It's a very, very big point. Thank you, ma'am. Now over to Commissioner, Municipal Commissioner Surat Nagarajanji. What specific system should every city administration build, whether small, medium, or large, to move from reactive crisis management to anticipatory, data-led, and accountable urban governance?
So as has been mentioned by Sharma sir also, that smart cities are getting information but they are not acting on it. So now it is time to do some proactive steps. For example, can you go to the fourth or fifth slide? I don't want to run through all the slides, only one slide I want to show. Yeah. Next. 5, 6. Further. Yeah. So this is a slide which is a very comparative one, like for each functional of municipal waste, how we can do a anticipatory thing from a reactive thing. So in solid waste, we can see that in complaints driven collection, ad hoc route planning, we can go for GPS and POI tracking, real-time ICCC monitoring, and also predictive trip analytics. While this predictive trip analytics, every consultant will come and promise to us, it doesn't see the light of the day. It is always shown in the presentation, doesn't come into that. And similarly, for water meter reading and reactive leakage response, we can implement SCADA and pressure monitoring. In fact, in Surat, we have integrated all SCADA into the ICCC, and threshold levels are clearly defined and auto alerts are generated. So from there, the task needs to be followed up, and a special operational team should keep a watch on the implementation side of it for the alerts. Same way in traffic, from fixed signals and manual challans to adaptive signals. So we have already tried it in 250 signals, and we had initially problems with managing the expectations of the people, as people are not very much tuned to adaptive signaling. So we had to go back again to a timing based signal for some time, but it's still a challenge that we have to again work with the people to come into an adaptive mode, for which we need to generate the right kind of information regarding the vehicles, and whether the sensors are calibrated enough to give us the right vehicle count in a proper way, so that the efficiency of our system will be better. Same way in health, instead of annual surveys and all, we can go for real-time VBD surveillance, and this has been implemented in Surat for last 10 years. Every day at every hour we can see how many houses have been covered, what is the result and all, especially during live seasons, monsoon seasons and all, and also we can find out the hotspots easily, and every moment is GPS tracked and every reading is being seen, and summaries are generated. So we could build a very proactive BBDC response on that. Same way in governance, citizens walk to office and paper complaints, we are using WhatsApp and GPS field teams and mandatory photo compliance.
Thank you. Thank you, Nagarajanji.
Gopal, just 1 second, I'll say something.
Sir.
Just 1 second. Yeah. When we were launching the Amrut program in Pune, so Honorable Prime Minister was going around, there was a full exhibition. So he went to several bottles were there. Then he told me, Sameer ji, ये क्या रखा है? मैंने कहा सर बोतल है सर पानी पीने के लिए. कहते वो तो मैं देख रहा हूँ. मैं आपको याद है बचपन में हम लोग पानी पिया करते थे नल से. अमृत से ऐसा करिएगा कि नल से पानी पिए. That remained, that haunted me every day. Then I thought, when Ganga can be monitored real time, we can monitor real time TDS, etc. How will people drink from the tap? If I know what's coming from the tap, if I can give them daily information digitally, what is coming from the tap, they will drink. That was something which I left without doing. Just one of those things which I carry as a burden. Yeah, thank you.
Bhubaneswar actually managed to give drink from the tap quite successfully when Mathivanan used to be there. Yeah.
Sir, now to Shri Ghanshyam Bansal Sahab, Director General DMRC. How do we ensure efficient and smooth coordination between various government departments that eventually form Team Urban?
Good afternoon, respected chair and dignitaries. Basically, I want to say about all these procedures that how to ensure efficient and smooth coordination between the various departments. Horizontal capacity building is very important for that. We have to have the horizontal capacity building. The people should be sent to the other departments. They should feel the problems. Unless we feel the problem, I think we cannot find out the solutions. And that's why we have to have the problems in advance. We have to anticipate, as it was done in DMRC. I think you may be knowing in 1995 when the DMRC was started, there were many things which were started for the first time and which were unconventional. Unconventional in the sense that we have to know the problem of the other side. Contractors have the problem of the cash flow. But normally we don't feel that because we never encounter. We don't know what is cash flow. So what was done by Dr. E. Sridharan, I think you may be knowing, he implemented that measurement book will be recorded by the contractor. Otherwise it was being recorded by the officials of the department. And 80% payment will be done immediately. Immediately means immediately. And rest 20% will be done within next 2-3 days after verifying the authenticity of the measurements. If that 20% is okay, next will also 80% can be done immediately. That worked very well. Initially, there were innovations from the Central Vigilance Commission. What you are doing? This is not a set rule. But we said that, no, it is working well. And we are basically taking care that there should be no overpayments because 20% is being checked. Similarly, we have to see that the contractor should not face any problem, otherwise he will not work. Basically, he is working for some profit. The profit should not be exorbitant, but it should be reasonable. In the year 2019, there was a conference here in the Vigyan Bhavan. All the top officials, secretaries were called, all the MDs were also called. At that time, our MD was Dr. Mangu Singh. And a very simple question was there, how to make the contract successful, how the contract should be made successful. There is a very simple mantra. We have to facilitate the payments, timely payments. Only 10 minutes were given. And today's chief guest, Shri Mishra ji was there. In that conference also he was there. And Dr. Mangu Singh spoke only for 5 minutes. And he told the magic words. What were the magic words? We don't allow the contract to fail. Though it is a very simple words. We don't allow the contract to fail. Why the contracts are failing? Because we are not initially solving the problem of the contractor. We are not giving him the land. We are not facilitating. We are not giving the drawings. And later on, when something goes wrong, we will say, okay, we will terminate. That is the simplest thing we can do. But not allowing the contract to fail means that we have to be chasing up the contractor right from the beginning. What are the deliverables? What are the problems? We have to sort out the problem. Otherwise, we will not be successful. The same thing was told by Dr. M. Nagarajan ji. Contract management is very, very important. If that is not done, I think your contract will not be successful. And every day you will see that contracts are being discharged, terminated, because something else will come and he will face the problem. There are so many incidences where you have to take the decision in real-time basis. Decision can be taken only when there is conviction. Conviction comes from the ethics. Otherwise, everybody will be afraid of the so many agencies. I will not name. He will come, he will ask. But if you have conviction, then you can take very bold decisions. That has to be taken. That can be taken if we see various organizations, the parallel organization, that is the horizontal capacity building of the public servants. I think I should not take more time. Thank you very much.
Well said, sir. Very thank you. Thank you, sir. And especially giving the importance on the contract management and legacy of the DMRC right from the Sridharan Sahab and to Mangu Singh Sahab, and what you have actually summarized things in a very, very lucid manner. Moving on to Professor Tarafdar from SPA Vijayawada. How can academic and training institutions support cities and cities with practical research, technical expertise, and capacity building that responds to real challenges faced by the ULBs? So please, sir.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you very much to NIUA and MOHUA for having me here. I represent School of Planning and Architecture in Vijayawada, and in the field of planning, SPA is like IITs in the field of technology, and our basic thing is to groom graduates, postgraduates, doctorates, etc. But along with this, we also, in the last 4 to 5 years, heavily are into projects and training of government officials, thanks to Amrut Center of Excellences and various other programs. So I speak from that interface, or from that overlay between academics and profession. And to this question which you have given me, I have 4 quick propositions from the experience of training municipal officers and engineers in the field of planning. First, most of this training, to be effective, it should be need-based and evidence-based, what we realized. So I give you an example. So when we started doing a project in Andhra Pradesh, we discussed with the Principal Secretary, MAUD, and over a few discussions, he gave us 4 main areas where training should be done, and one was related to flood. So we went to Machilipatnam, and then we started developing a flood risk mitigation plan. So it took us, we sat with 3 plus 6 officials, engineers. Over 3 months, we developed several layers of data, and then finally we gave them a plan. Now, after that, after 3 months, there was this cyclone Montana coming, and the commissioner called us and said that you have given us a module which can do a simulation of where inundation will happen. Can we use it? We said yes. And then he said, can you come over and do a simulation, because this cyclone is predicted to have 200 mm, and you did a simulation up to 150 mm of rainfall. So we said, those 6 officials sitting there, they can do it. You try, we remotely help them. And then they ran that simulation, and they got the areas which are likely to get inundated, and they took some proactive measures, and the flood was well managed. So if we include, and if we ask, or if we understand the needs of the ULB or the UDA on training, and not just impose the training on them, it works much better. That's the first proposition. And based on that, now Andhra Pradesh government is coming up with the urban flood mitigation rules, which is applicable to all the municipalities which are facing daily floods or yearly floods. So which we are part of it. The second point is proposition of an effective capacity building is spatial data infrastructure or spatial data creation. What we realized when we start doing projects with any ULB, if we ask for a land use plan or a normal plan, we get a blueprint or a PDF. And many times it has happened, where is the shapefile or the AutoCAD file? And sometimes, most of the times we come to know that there is a particular company X who prepared it 2 years back, and they give us the address of that company to get the shapefile. So I think when we train or when we get into capacity building, it's very important to look into the modules which makes the core engineers and officials of the ULBs to develop data and keep it and store it and update it. So that is an important part of any training, where the data infrastructure is built within the ULBs and maintained, because most of these climate resilient projects, it requires updated data every year or every second year. It's not like a master plan which can happen up to 10, 15 years. So this is important. So when we worked in Tirupati for energy optimization, so we developed a model with them where if you change building bylaws by little bit, and it can optimize the energy. And it was very interestingly understood that if the FSI or FAR is increased and you can go up to 2, 3 more floors, it doesn't really increase the energy requirement. It actually optimizes it more than the heavy low density buildings. So in that process also we realized that it's important to emphasize on data and the technique. So here I'll make one more point. technique is also important. When we are into training capacity building, and if you go to the Western, particularly Scandinavian, North European countries, a lot of emphasis is on the technique. So if we are dealing with flood, it's hydrological studies. If we are dealing with energy or heat, it's a very close technical scientific matter where we are dealing with the building envelope, the radiance, the reflectance, the absorption power of each material. So these are scientific. And the IITs, SPAs, or many institutes which are capable, and they are the ones who are actually teaching this to the graduates. These graduates are then going and building the softwares or joining the consulting firms which are coming back again and charging a lot from the ULB. So why not these academic institutions which are the core of our country directly become an interface and give those techniques? So to summarize my points, the three things should be emphasized or should be taken up when any capacity building program is thought of. One is the need for the theme should come from the local body. The technique and the SDI should be emphasized. What is the technique which is getting taught? And is there a data building module built into it? So with these three things, I think time is also running away. So I would close my statement here. Thank you.
Gopalji, if I could just respond to what Secretary had actually
Exactly,
asked.
sir.
Network of institutions is what he posed.
Sir.
So if you hear all that has been said today, Srinivasji, what the Team Urban needs is a set of competencies, particularly domain competencies, to be able to deliver for India's future need goals. Now, if MAHUA can actually catalog what these requirements are and through your intervention ensure that the network of institutions that you are supporting are so focused that none of these competencies are left out as a gap. But just doing that economy will not be adequate. How do you know who's a donkey and who's a horse? The problem is not with the donkey. The problem is that you need a donkey, you get a horse. That's the problem. So setting up this network of institutions to be able to deliver competencies, but also setting up a network of institutions that can test for these competencies, both for your officials, both for your recruitment, as well as people who are providing contracting services for you, would be my response to network of institution questions that you posed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll just, I think I'll just intrude. Because there is no valedictory session, there's only a valedictory dinner. So this is like hors d'oeuvre for the dinner. I just wanted to share a couple of things, not too long, in terms of how a network of institutions are already being built. Yesterday, the BRICS Ministerial Forum has approved the creation of a BRICS Knowledge Sharing and Research Network, which will have one of India's institutions being nominated to be a part of this larger thing. That is at the apex level. Much below, because MAHUA is an extremely technical ministry with a lot of technical arms and a lot of generic institutions. Now, Mr. Bansal represents one of our technical arms, very, very competent, extraordinarily capable but highly hidden jewel in our firmament, the DMRC Academy. It's a fact, because hardly anybody knows about it. But what we have been doing in the last 2 years is to really create this network of institutions that are working together, not merely in terms of funding, but in terms of a very sharply placed foci. There are centers that are being placed, centers of excellences. There are chairs that have been constituted across the wide spectrum of technical expertise wherever it is available for us to collaborate with. The other and interesting thing that is going on is just this month, we have, of course it was approved a couple of months back, but we rolled out the National Council for Public Works, which is in my view, which has the potential to be the single largest platform for public infrastructure, especially of the type that urban institutions require, because it is very, very far. It includes all the state government, the municipal bodies, and so on. It's a very, very wide spectrum, including the industry representatives. Now, this is hosted within CPWD. Now, all of us suspect CPWD to be a building maintenance and a building organization, forgetting that it is perhaps the oldest engineering organization of the country. Sometimes, if you really look at the numbers very carefully, perhaps even predating a lot of the military engineering organizations. Now, the CPWD is being repurposed into not merely the central government engineering organization, but also a shared network for urban sector across the country. In fact, the current cadre review that is going on is driven by this kind of a thought, and with the intent that officials of a certain level and below, presumably that they would be more inclined towards higher, let us say, education for career advancement. It is not to preclude those who continue to be interested, would also be guided not merely in the initial skilling and skill building courses, but we are actually currently negotiating with universities for even a PhD level programs, so that many of them can be skilled up. We have the DG of the CPWD here, who is also doubling up as the Vice President of the NIUA. So a lot of interesting work is happening. The reason I mentioned it here is because all of us collectively are invested in this. How do we, and I think what Madam has said is really the core of it. Finally, where is the, as they say, what is the proof of the pudding, you know? It is in the tasting. And the tasting is if the citizen is happy. And that is where you will come in. And I remember a few years back when I was serving as Director Academy, we had taken up a program to train lady leaders, MPs, MLAs, etc., in the academy for how to really not only contribute, participate, also somewhere control the bureaucracy. I think NIUA should take up that task for really having up, along with the centers of excellence, programs that will encourage more and more elected representatives to become more competent, more capacitated, more able to engage with the bureaucracy, because a very important skill set. And I was surprised those days to I came across a lady who was a 4th time MP, sir, a lawyer, who said, I wish I had been trained in my first term how to handle this. There was a lady who was a 7-time MP, 7-time MLA, who was a very senior cabinet minister. She came and said, I wish I had known this in the first time, how in the last 6 terms I was taken for a ride. So I think we should no longer allow our elected representatives to be taken for a ride. NIUA, the Centers of Excellence, should have a separate program, not merely for capacity building, for actually ensuring that the steering wheel is passed on to them in the manner that was discussed today morning in the plenary, because that is the only way forward. The only point I was really trying to make, and I was hoping that we would have some insights. Of course, the conversation has just started, as Debulina ji said, because this is just the first of the discussions we have initiated as a part of the Golden Jubilee series. Really what we want is to have a large technical arc for the whole of the urban sector. And the urban sector represents really you might say, not just the welfare, but the well-being of the future of the citizens of India, because vast majority of the youth of India are going to live in the urban areas in less than 15 years from now. So if that being the case, plus another 20% of those who are in the higher demographic. So if that being the case, the technical capability of the urban sector is what is going to underpin the health of the urban sector and our ability of our country to undergo this urban transformation. Sorry for taking so much time, but as I said, this is the order of war. I hope the dinner is good and it is ready. So thank you very much for a wonderful session.
Just before that, with the permission of the chair, if you could be able to now conclude it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, this brings the session on building team urban, strengthening technical capacities for resilient and progressive urban India to a close. Before we conclude, let us take a moment to felicitate our panelists. I request Sri Gopal Prasad, Economic Advisor, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to felicitate the chair of the session, Dr. Santosh Mathew. A round of applause, please. Dr. Samir Sharma. You got Dr. Surendra Kumar Bagre. Shri M. Nagarajan. Advocate V. K. Minimol. Shri Ghansham Bansal. And Professor Dr. Oyon Kumar Tarafdar. To felicitate Sri Gopal Prasad, I now request Dr. Debulina Kundu, Director, National Institute of Urban Affairs, to kindly grace the stage. A small request, there are a number of dignitaries in the room who are a part of the audience. May I please request them to join us on stage for a group picture? Secretary, sir. Ma'am, first the group picture. And to join us for dinner. Yes. Sir? Ma'am?
Join us.